Hello, guys. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest, we have Matt Hernandez, who I've known for a very long time. I know you're going to talk years because it's been since like elementary school. But he's going to be talking a lot about his business, Matt Hernandez Dance Co., where he teaches salsa, merengue, bachata, anything that you can think of Latin dance. So please help me welcome Matt to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Of
excited to be
course.
here.
Yes, I'm excited. So, give you guys a little bit of background. We've known each other for a very long time.
Yes.
And I've kind of seen his growth from school, from his job to the dance club. And I recently took a dance class where I thought I knew how to like bachata and
She
salsa.
killed it. She killed it. Don't let her fool you.
Yeah, I was really taken back where one, he was extremely hands-on, extremely helpful for people like, trying to learn the first time. And the people that I took the class with were even like, oh, no, it's okay. You can mess up. Because I think every partner I had,
100%.
I was kind of messing them up a little bit. But just to give you a background about like the amazing experience I had taking one of his classes. And even like, I want to go back now and perfect my skills because I'm like, there's a lot I need to work on. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And I think you touched on a really, one of my favorite parts of having the studio, and it's that community that you said.
Yeah.
Right? You came and took a beginner class.
Yes.
My classes operate on a 3-month cycle. So the idea being January 1st would be your first class, and every week you progress. And then at the end of March, you would kind of graduate to that next level class. So you happen to come to a class towards the end of our cycle. So some of the folks in that class had been dancing a little bit with me. They'd been dancing already 2 months, and no one, is, or most of my students are really good about, understanding that their first class, it didn't look perfect. And someone gave them the grace, when they first started. So I always like to remind my students, think about where you started. Think about someone who it's, in this example, you, Chrissy, it was your first class. And it's easy for you to be overwhelmed or nervous or look at these professionals around me, right? To me, that community of people who is like, nah, don't worry. Like, just try your best. I didn't have it either a couple weeks ago, and just stick with it. And that's one of the things that I'm the most proud of building, that sense of community and that sense of everyone around you genuinely rooting for you and saying, who cares if you mess up? Let's just try to perfect our craft and have fun in the process. And that's, to me, one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, no, it was good. And like you said, that community, they were very patient with me. And I think maybe we had like 8 partners switching around. They were extremely patient with me. And not only them, but you just like being able to teach you. And I think the other thing that you mentioned too was like kind of not being afraid to mess up.
100%.
And I feel like one of the reasons I didn't go for a very long time was because, well, I'm a Virgo, so I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. But I was afraid of like looking stupid or embarrassed. So what do you kind of tell people that like take your classes for the first time or avoid taking it because of that?
Yeah, it's like any hobby, right? I don't sing. I can't sing. But if I took a singing class with, Adele, do I think I'm going to sound like her after an hour lesson? Absolutely not. And if you think that, that is just crazy. Right. So dance is no different. People sometimes see what I do, and they're just like, why can't I do that? And what they don't understand is I've been doing this for 16 years. Yeah. You've been doing it for 16 minutes, right? There's a difference, and not from a conceited, you're not as good as me, but there's training that goes into it. If tomorrow I tried selling real estate, am I going to be as efficient as you, who's been in the game for 5+ years? No, it's not about ego. It's just about learning from people who have the experience that you don't, and just being okay with that. I always use analogies in my classes. My students always make fun of me because I go crazy with the analogies, but I feel like it drives the point home. And I always say, if you go to the gym and you see the jacked guy next to you and you see him slamming, 745-pound weights, are you going to say, oh, well, like, now let me try to do that? No, you're ego lifting, right? Dude, just lift what you can lift. And same thing in dance class. You see the guy next to you doing 1,000 spins or doing these complex moves, and then you feel the need, or a lot of people in the beginning feel the need that they need to now do it. And I'm like, dude, you've been here for 1 minute. Learn the basic step first, right? And then we'll get to all this stuff. And it's not that I don't want to show you the fancy stuff in the beginning, but there's a method to my madness. And I always say in class, you got to learn how to crawl before I can teach you how to run. And that's it. You were just learning how to crawl when maybe a few people in the class were already jogging or trotting along,
I know
right?
I was like, oh boy.
100%. And it's just coming in and just remind yourself, why did you do it? You didn't come in to take one class to leave a professional. You came to
Right.
have a good time,
Have a
maybe
good
meet some
time.
friends, be part of a community, learn a new skill, get some exercise in, and then you will get those results. But, be patient with yourself. That's the main thing for everyone.
And that too, like being patient and the community. I mean, you guys all know I love a community. I love networking. And one of the things was just the people that I met there. I'm like, I wish we exchanged numbers because they were so kind and it was nice. And it was just, it was good to be in a space where we're away from work, we're 100%. Away from everything, and we're all just focusing on this. Dancing.
You hit it exactly on the head. People have told me, I have students who actually go to therapy and they go, Matt, this does more for me than going to my therapist, right? We all have, maybe not us all, but we have crazy, bosses or spouse that's driving you nuts or kids or whatever your situation is. And it's an hour you can just detach, say, I'm going to try to better myself, whether it's from a workout standpoint, whether it's because I want to be a professional dancer, whether it's just I want to learn this skill, I have a wedding coming up and I don't want to have two left feet. Everyone's reason for being in that class is different. But to me, that is what it's about. Everyone leaves everything at the door. You come in and say, let me just try to learn this thing. And like you said, you leave with some lifelong friends. Some of my closest friends and family I met in my dance class 16 years ago, and they're still a huge part of my life. So I'm sure you'll see some of the people in the class. Your paths will cross at some point in the future. For sure.
Yeah, it was so awesome being a part of that community. And I know you've been doing this for a long time. You've been dancing for a long time. But you've been in the actual space where you have your company for the past couple of years. So what was that like? Like you starting out and just kind of getting in your
studio? So I've been dancing 16 years, which is crazy to think about. I started at 14. I had a single Puerto Rican mother who, shout out to you, Mama Duke. Shout out to you, Mama Duke. She put me in class. I didn't want to do it at first. And fast forward 16 years, here I am. So that transition, it started as just a hobby. It started as something I thought was fun to do. I went to college and I joined a dance team. The last 3 years of that, I ended up leading the dance team. I was the head choreographer. I ran the team. And then I started realizing, like, this isn't just a hobby. This is something that is a part of who I am.
Yeah, it's your lifestyle.
It's a part of my life. Just like, Arnold Schwarzenegger going to the gym is a part of his life. It's not even his job. It's just a part of him. Salsa is a part of me. And the scary part, like you're bringing up, was that transition from making it a hobby to this is my main source of income. This is how I'm providing for my family. This is my career that I want to get better at, just like you want to get better. And hopefully in whatever craft you do. So that was a scary decision. I was doing both. I was doing my full-time 9 to 5 accounting job and teaching on the side for about 11 months.
Okay.
Exhausting.
So you were juggling both.
Which is what I recommend anyone do. I would not tell anyone quit your job tomorrow without any plan and just cross your fingers. Accountants, we take calculated risks, right?
Calculated risks.
So,
I like that.
So to me, after about 11 months of doing both, I saw, I was making 80% of my salary, 85% of my salary. And I was like, okay, I think this is proof of concept enough for me doing it part-time that I think I'm close enough I can go all in. And scary as all hell.
I'm sure.
I remember I was at Hacienda in Chester. In Chester. And with my fiance and with my mom and literally almost being on the borderline of tears. Like I was so scared but what if it doesn't work out? But like I have a house and my family was like, do you think we're going to let you, live under a bridge? Do we think?
We'll be here for you.
And that was kind of like the support system that I was like, all right, I believed in myself. It's not that I didn't think I could dance. It's not that I didn't think I had the business background, but it's a whole different ball game putting it into practice and taking this, fluffy idea and making it a concrete reality. And
real concept.
So to me, it was the combination of course, being prepared, having a business plan, all the stuff that anyone would tell you to do. And I really valued the power of community and the power of your support system. And
oh my God, it's everything.
It is everything.
Support system, everything.
Whoever that is for you. For me is my fiance, my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, my aunt, uncle, tons of friends and families and students who have become family that have supported me. When I was building the studio, there were students offering, you need me to help paint? I'll come in here. Don't pay me, Matt. And it's overwhelming. It's financially overwhelming. And having that community made it so much more bearable. And that was a really big thing that I think I recommend to anyone. Find your your team, find your family.
Yes.
And team could be 2 people in the beginning.
Right, whatever it is.
Whatever it is for you. But that was huge, having that support system that backed me when sometimes you doubt yourself, right?
Right. Oh yeah, I'm sure we all have those imposter
100%.
syndrome moments where we're like, are we really that good at it? Like, should we really do it?
Me?
And that's
Me?
right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to emphasize, because that's scary, right? You're
Super
leaving
scary.
a high-paying accounting career,
corporate job I went to school for,
everything, to now, you know, follow your passion. And that's kind of what we're driving with like Real Estate Done Right, is like following your passion, your purpose, and making sure it's for you, because, you know, the accounting sounds nice, but it's like, do you love that?
Yeah.
You know? So what would you say for people that are like in that limbo stage where they're doing their side hustle long enough, but they're like just so afraid to let go?
Yeah. I think the number one thing is find what you would do. Someone told me this a long time ago, and they were like, I think it was my mom actually, and she goes, if you, Matt, tomorrow won the lottery and you won $7 billion, you never have to work a day in your life again. She asked me, would you still want to teach dance classes? And I was like, yeah. She goes, that's what you should be doing with your time.
Man.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, I'm not doing this for the money.
Right.
We all have to eat. We all have to pay bills. It's not a secret, right? I'm not running a charity. But at the end of the day, if I had all the money in the world, what would I want to fill my time with? And for me, it was, I want to share my love of dance. I want to teach people my knowledge of dance. Yeah. It's not right or wrong. It's just, what is your thing? If you won $1 gajillion tomorrow, would you still want to empower your communities and talk to them about real estate and things that you, right? It's not even a question. It's just, you found your thing. And I think we're very blessed, being as young as we are, that found our thing that speaks to us. And it could be anything. I had, you know, I have students who they're like, but I don't have real hobbies. I like, you know, Pokemon. And I'm like,
so do Pokemon.
Do Pokemon card reviews, go to trade shows, sell cards. I go, anything can be a hobby. My best friend in the world loves bird watching. We tease him all the time. I'm like, dude, bird watching? Cool. But if that's what you want to do, write a book, start a podcast,
start a YouTube
channel, go sightseeing, whatever that is. Every industry can be turned into a career. And I think it starts with what is it that if money didn't motivate me, or I didn't need the money to motivate me, what would I want to fill my time with? And for me, it was salsa. I think for you, you found your calling. But that's the number one thing. And then the rest is just the details to get there.
Right. And you'll eventually get profits, right? And
100%.
You'll follow your passion and the profits will follow.
100%.
And it always happens that way. And it may not feel that way in the beginning. And we were just talking about this.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Where we're putting in so much work. We're doing trial and error, things like that. And it's like, this is like years in the making, and we finally got to the point where we're building traction, we're doing this.
100%.
And if you're starting out in any business, the beginning is so rough. And then you have those moments of imposter syndrome, you have those moments of doubt. But if you truly love it, it's worth it.
I feel like recently, and I mean like in the last couple months recently, that people have come up to me, strangers, and been like, so proud of what you're doing, see what you're doing, keep killing it, I follow you, you're doing your thing. But there was 3 years where I was showing up to class, one student would come. Yeah. And it's making the best of it, right? This is a really important lesson I learned along the way. And I used to let the outcome of my class dictate my mood and how happy or not happy I was. So I would plan an event, I would go, you know, advertise and share it with everyone, and I would have 4 people show up. And I would leave that event feeling defeated. Right. Yeah. And then sometimes I would advertise, have a class or another event, and I would have 30 people, and I would leave like, I'm the man, and nobody can touch me. Yeah. And then I was like, this isn't healthy. I'm leaving my happiness in the hands of strangers.
Of other people.
And I was like, no. And I remember making a mental shift saying, I don't care if there's 1 student in my class. I don't care if there's 4,000 students in my class. I'm going to teach it the best I can with a smile on my face, as enthusiastic as I can be. And I feel when I truly started following that, because I've said that to myself a few times, but then you still catch yourself getting like, upset, right?
Or people.
And I feel like when I truly made that shift is when I started seeing the results. And it took 6 to 8 months for me to really fully make that shift. And it sounds simple, like, dude, just make the decision and be happy or not.
Right. But we're human.
We're
and
human.
We go through those.
100%.
And I love that you said that, because I think especially for us, right, we host things, you know, you have events, I have events. And last year, maybe a year and a half ago, when I just started doing my own events, I would do them on Zoom. and only one person would show up. And this was Rob Young, who will also be on the show. And
Shout out.
And I'm so glad that I always showed up, because not only am I showing up for myself, but I'm showing up for him. And then me and him started collabing. And that's when we did Casual Breakfast Club. And we get 30 people every month. Me and
something
him
that you probably looked at like, damn,
yeah.
this one guy turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because you made it that, right?
Exactly.
You could have been a sourpuss and been like,
I'm not doing
all right,
this
here,
anymore.
we'll just go through the spiel and go home. And you were like, nah, one person or 1,000, I'm going to treat it. And that is it. It's about the connection you make with each individual person. That one person you made a connection with is going to be like, I've had students go, look, you can cancel the class, dude. It's just me. And I'll be like, no, if you don't want to take the class, I'm not going to force you.
Yeah.
But we're not canceling because of me. If you want to cancel, that's fine.
Right.
I'm here and I'm ready to teach. And they'll be like, really, dude, with one? And I go, 1,000,000%. Yeah. And that one student turned to 2, turned to 3, turned to 4. And I hope I quadrupled the size of my classes. But it's truly believing in yourself when it's hard sometimes. And it's easy to say it in theory, but to get yourself out of bed, spend all month advertising this event, and one person show up.
One person, oh my God.
You and I both know what that feels like. And it hurts sometimes, but it's the price you pay to get to your goal.
To get there, exactly. You can't 100%. Overlook the people that are there, even just your family, right? Because I think we may overlook the family and friends. And we only look at like the negative part a lot. Yeah. And it's like we don't see like there are positive people, but then we hear one negative or we get one negative experience. Like, oh no, it didn't work. Only one person showed up. Yeah. But then you had other events where there was tons of people there. So exactly. Yeah, you really have to take the good with the bad.
100%. It is. It's really more a mental game, and I know it's a cliche that people don't like to hear, but exactly, it is 1,000,000% a mental game, and just staying resilient and just headstrong and saying this will work out, you know. Exactly. Obviously you got to do your part, and I'm not saying just cross your fingers and hope.
Exactly, but it'll happen.
100%.
So now that you took that leap, I wouldn't even say it's a leap of faith, it was a calculated risk, right? You did your homework, your research, and now you open up your first studio. What was that like? And then how have you transformed from there? Now you do classes, events, like different, you teach children. So
so before I opened my studio, I was renting space at a dance studio in Warwick. Okay. He was the owner of the studio, very kind guy. Mm-hmm. He charged me a reasonable price. He knew I couldn't afford, some rents that people are charging. And I really, shout out to him who gave me my start. And then I had another friend of mine, Simone, who we went to high school with. Her mom owned a coffee shop, and she wasn't using it on like Tuesday nights. And I was like, can I teach a class here? Yeah. So before I had my space, I was renting from anyone that would just kind of allow me to teach my class for not an arm and a leg. Right. And so when I found my space, again, it's a bigger investment. It was a lot of more overhead, I basically couldn't afford to pay rent at the old place I was teaching while I got the new studio ready. So we had to do it as quickly as possible. Right. In 37 days, we turned that studio from a vanilla box with carpet, nothing. What was there before? I have no clue, but there was outlets everywhere. Maybe I've heard a couple of. I heard maybe an arcade, or there was a Fit Body boot camp, something. Right? Remember that? Yes, I don't know if that was the exact. Something was there. Yeah. But it got given to me as a vanilla box, and with me, my fiance, my mom, my team, my support system, in 37 days, that studio is transformed. Wow. Now, people don't see that. I wish I had a time lapse of that. I lived in that studio, painting, spackling. Meanwhile, I still had to teach lessons. I still needed to pay bills. So in between sanding and painting and spackling and stuff on my hand, I would run home, shower, then run back to the old studio, teach my lesson, run back. It was. Because
you still had to keep your business
I got to keep the business going. I got to keep my lights on. And until the studio was up and running, it was costing me money. It wasn't making me anything. Exactly. And so, again, that's the part that people don't see. And it really took a village. I say it a million times. I could not have done it without my team. Some of my students that have helped paint, put the floor in, my best friends. People just being so generous with their time. And that's why whenever I hear someone starting their own thing or, hey, and I'm like, how can I help in some capacity? In some way, because there's no way I would have gotten here without some help. But it was a crazy month.
Listen, I can relate with doing projects and rehabs. And my first rental property was 5 years ago in New Windsor, and we did all the work ourselves. And my dad taught me how to do the
I remember seeing
tile.
some videos of these houses that looked crazy.
Yes, and
that
we
you
literally did
rehabbed.
all of our own work, like doing tile, doing the kitchen and everything, and going to work, and then coming home to paint and trying to actually flip a house. And I'm like, I put my little blood, sweat, and tears
The thing
into
that I
that.
respect is people want the fancy C-suite job sitting in a nice office, but they don't want to go through the parts.
That part.
You got to know every facet of your
Yes,
business.
yeah.
And now, do you need to be as good as a seasoned contractor? No.
Right.
But you need to know enough to
Know
be
a
able to
little
speak
bit.
the language. And
Yep.
so I love the fact that you were like, I don't care that this is my name on the side of the house that I'm trying to sell or flip.
Yeah.
I'll get my hands dirty. You need me to
Yes.
put some grout on the wall, right?
Yeah.
I'll put some grout. You need me to paint.
Exactly.
You need me to...
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, right?
That's what it's about.
It was exactly the same. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not above cleaning a toilet
No.
or sweeping and mopping the floor. Whatever
Mhm.
needs to get done.
Right.
To me, it's my baby. I will do anything to make
Yeah.
sure that place is kept.
It
And
is
so
how
I
you
love
want
that.
it.
I'm not
Yeah.
above. People get
Exactly.
the self-proclaimed CEO title and then they're
That's
like, oh, I
not
need to
right.
hire someone for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
no, like we
I'll
can
do
still
it all.
Exactly.
do it all.
But that is it. So you were in this transition where you have a new studio. You're still teaching classes before then. So once you actually got up and running, how did that change your business? Now you offer different like programs and different classes. Like, so what changed from there?
Yeah, so I really just started with dance classes and primarily salsa.
Mhm.
That's my kind of claim to fame. I teach
Yeah.
bachata, I teach other things, but that was really what I was trained in for,
Yeah.
15 plus years.
Mhm.
So when the studio opened, I of course had my classes. I got to
Yeah.
add a few more days because I was like, well, I'm paying rent here. I can
Yeah.
put as many or as little classes as I want.
Exactly.
So I added some more classes, and then a lot
Mhm.
of it was just really being in touch with the community. I
Mhm.
had, for example, I threw I call it a social. It's basically like a party. I
Mhm.
throw once a month in my
Yeah.
studio for people to practice what it is that they're learning in class.
Uh-huh.
And I had a student come up to me and he was like, I really want to come to this social, but I'm a little intimidated. It's on a
Yeah.
Saturday night. It's, people are dressed to
Yeah.
the nines. It's like this whole
Mm.
production. There's a DJ. Like, it's just a little
Yeah.
daunting. And he
Uh-huh.
was like, would you ever throw like a practice
Mhm.
social? Maybe something
Okay.
during the day,
Right, so you
something
feel
no DJ, a little
comfortable.
people are in sweatpants, not nearly as... And I said,
Mhm.
you know what? That's a great idea. I had never thought of it. And I
Yeah.
think being receptive to a good
Right.
idea. Everyone's always going to throw their 2 cents. And I'm not saying to take
Right. You don't have
everyone,
to take everyone into
right?
consideration.
So, but if you give it some thought and you say there's some validity in what they're saying, like, why not give it a try?
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen? You don't do it
Right.
again. Or you
You
try it
don't
a
do
couple
it.
times and you say, okay, that didn't work out. Maybe this isn't
Yeah.
the market. Maybe this isn't the
Yeah.
location. So I really tried to tune into what my students wanted because at the end of the
Exactly.
day, that's who I'm trying to service.
Right. Your
I am
community.
nothing
Mhm.
without the people that come and take my class, right? You're
Yeah.
nothing without your clients that trust you with their
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think any boss,
Mhm.
you work for the people, your company. It's not the other way
Exactly.
around, right?
Exactly.
We were just
Exactly.
talking about Gary Vee before this conversation.
Mhm.
He says it all the time. He's like,
Yeah.
CEOs, got it wrong.
Right.
They think people owe them. And he's like, nah, dude, you
No.
work for them.
You're nothing without your clients, your customers, or anything.
100%.
And that's what it's so funny because I try to tell real estate investors that too, right? Where they have a property, they're renting out to tenants, like, oh, we're a tenant. You're nothing without your tenant. Your property
Yeah.
is nothing if no one wants to rent for you, if you don't provide a good service.
100%.
So yeah, provide with any business you're in, your service, you have to tell your customers, everything. It's so important.
100%. I couldn't agree more. You got to
Yeah.
treat people right. The rest will work itself out.
Yeah, it really will. So that's it. So you really started opening up. You did the social. And is there anything you're doing beyond that for just like the community? Let's say beyond dance.
Yeah. So one thing that I have kind of in the works, it's something that I'd love to kind of chat with you specifically about. My background, I went to school for accounting. That
Mhm.
was business and accounting. That was how my brain was wired.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the Big Four accounting for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't what I loved, but I got a lot of knowledge from that. And
Yeah.
now I dance, of course, and I was like, there has to be a way that my two worlds can kind of come together. And I have a lot of students, friends, family, people that I do stuff like this with that are trying to build something, but they might not know where to start.
Right.
And so it's one thing that I have in the works that I'd love to kind of collaborate with you on is hosting some sort of like mastermind or masterclass for the public.
Mm-hmm.
And we find 10 or 12 potential business owners or people that don't have a business now, but have that hobby or have that side hustle that want to turn it into something. And do I have every answer in the book? Do you have every answer in the book? No, but we've learned a lot over the past couple of years trying our own stuff, right? And so I'd love to collaborate with people, not these, gajillionaires who are super removed that have 75 million followers on Instagram, but people who are in our communities, in our backyards, that already are doing some great things, right? You've made some moves in the past couple of years. I've learned a lot, and I've changed, and my business has grown, and I think there's a lot of information to be out there. So that's something that has nothing to do with dance, but I want to put together some sort of program or class for people who say, I love yoga, but quit my job, and not everyone has to quit their job, but where do you start, right? I didn't know where to start. I'm sure you didn't know where to start. Logo, LLC, bank EIN, sales tax. How do I do all of this stuff? And we don't have all the answers, but I think being, again, part of a community who is all working towards the same goal, even if we have 7 different people doing 7 different industries, but we can collaborate on the problems we've faced and the hurdles that we've had to jump over. Make it easier for the person behind you, right? Be a trailblazer for the people that are trying to come after. So that's something we could.
Something really good, especially our community, that we need, because we come from the Orange County area, and it's not a big thing. Like, most of it is working class people. They only live in Orange County because it's close enough to commute to the city. I
was just going to say, a lot of them are commuting to the city to do it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I did it, right? You did it. Nothing wrong with that. But I was like, if I can bring some sort of business to home for us, Chester, New York, Orange County, New York, like, let's do it, you know? So,
and I think that is so, that's so important, because people may not know where to start, right? We're here today wearing both of our logos for our business, but no one knows, how do we even trademark that? How do we make this an LLC? How do we establish that? What can I do to even start or grow my business? And I think, like what you said, you don't have to be a gajillionaire or the guru. There's so many people that you can learn from that you're overlooking because they might not have 1 million followers. You know,
my logo. I knew I had an idea of what I wanted. I cannot draw a straight line to save my life. It's just not a strength of mine. My best friend since high school went to school for industrial design, and I was like, I remember calling him, and I was like, dude, I don't have a big budget. I don't know how much I can pay you, but can you do me a little sketch on a napkin? And he came through 10 times over, and it's the logo you see today. And it was literally a connection that I had, not even networking. I mean, childhood friends, playing basketball, going swimming, and it was just maybe something I might have overlooked in the past. And I was like, no, wait, I have people in my circle that are good at this. And that's what it's about.
And that's the thing, like, and you went to school, you didn't have to go reach out. A lot of us overlook the people that are already there. There's so many people that are already there. I know, if you feel like, I don't know anyone in business, you know someone in business.
Guarantee. Go through your Instagram, see who you're following. I guarantee you'll find someone.
Go through anything, your local coffee shop. Next time you go talk to the owner. And this is something that I've actually done more in the past year. Anytime I go to a restaurant or bar or this, I'm like, oh, are you the owner? Who's the owner? And I talk to them, and that's why I have events now at different places, because I know the owner.
1,000,000%.
And you can create that relationship. You can learn from, oh, what was it like? Well, I had multiple locations. I'm this. So talk to the people who are already there in your community. They might not have a gazillion followers, but they've been in the business for a long time. They have so much insight.
They have the institutional knowledge.
And they know everything. I love talking to the people that they have. There's this guy that in Monroe, he owns almost half of Monroe, all of the commercial. And just talking to him, he's been in business 40 years. He's just, laid back.
You learn something over 40 years.
He told me so much.
Think about what you've learned in 5 or what I've learned in 3, just starting our businesses. Exactly. Multiply that by 10. Like, that guy's got some knowledge, or that girl's got some knowledge.
Podcast, not on Instagram, right? Those are the people I'm talking about.
One of my favorite quotes ever, and my mom says this to me all the time, and she says, every single person that you will ever meet in your entire life knows something you don't. Every single person. I'm including children. You find, someone, it's easy to be like, brother or son or uncle or, just leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Now, I'm not saying you need to take every piece of advice everyone gives you, but everyone knows something you don't. So to be so quick to dismiss someone for what? There is something that they know that would be of value to you. Should you take the 2 seconds to just listen? And vice versa. I think we have a lot of information that we've learned along the ways. And when I see a friend of mine, like, I'm trying to start a business, but I don't know where to start, I'm not like,
Sorry.
Figure it out. I had to figure it out. I'm quick to be like, look, you didn't ask. These are my unsolicited 2 cents, but this is my. I just yesterday, one of my students' daughters, she just passed her esthetician exam, so she's a certified esthetician, and she's starting her own space. Like she's getting a rental space. She's now got to pay rent, and she was like, it's daunting, right? And I was like, so I just yesterday was like, look. I know nothing about being an esthetician. I can't give you a facial or do your microblade, whatever. I don't know what they do. But I was like, but I've learned stuff about business. And I go, if you want, take an hour of my time, put it on the calendar. We'll sit down and I'll just give you advice. You might not need all of it. You might need some of it. You might hear it and say, no, I'm still going to go this way. Fine.
Yeah. Right.
But learn from people who have done what you're trying to do. Yeah. So couldn't agree more.
Learn from people. And even if you take away one thing, like there's so many times where I might have flown out to a conference, spent whatever, and I only took away one thing, but that one thing is going to take me to something or 100%. Meet somebody. Or it is so important. You have to like really, and I feel like for us, like, you can never get so big, right? Because you still need people. 100%. You need, like, you learn from anybody. Like you said, you may think you know it all, but you don't. You'll never know it all.
Yeah.
You never will.
You're never above anything.
Exactly.
I think. Yeah. I'm like, if it's going to make my business better, if it's going to make me smarter, if it's going to make a better connection, I'll do it.
Exactly.
I don't care.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah. Well, this is good. I have one surprise question for you.
Okay.
So, let's see what it is.
Surprise question. What advice would you give your younger self? It's a good one. It's a deep one. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give your younger self? I think the advice, I remember saying to myself vividly that I would never start my own business. I remember saying that. I remember being about 12, 13, and I would see people who started their own business, and all I saw was the headache, and I would see they need to make payroll, they need to do this, and I was like, why does people sign up? Why does anyone sign up for this? Just get your salary, go work at a job, and I think if I would have never challenged that belief that I had as a kid, I would still be working as an accountant. Was I a fine accountant? Sure.
Right.
Was I getting my paycheck and did my boss like me? Yeah, sure.
Right.
Was I truly fulfilled and was I truly happy in life? No. So my advice, I think it's okay to have a belief, have a ideology you want to follow, but it's also okay to change. We change as human beings, and as the cliche, never say never. Like, you might feel today, oh, I'm never gonna do this. I'm never gonna do that. Right. And down the line, you say, I don't know, something's saying I want to try it now. And you don't have to feel like a fraud because you once said, well, I'm never,
it's okay.
You change.
It's
Things
okay.
change, your interests change. In 5 years, I don't think this is going to happen, but I might be like, you know what, dance is getting old for me and I want to pursue a podcast full time, and that's really, I just want to talk about dance. I don't want to teach it anymore. I don't think that's going to happen, right? I love what I do.
But you never know.
But that's okay.
You might shift.
So I think that's it. It's okay to have a belief. It's okay to have what you think should happen or shouldn't happen in your life, and it's also okay to change it. Right?
That is so amazing.
You might open a salsa studio in the future. I might sell some real estate. You don't know. You never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, I just think be open to life. It's life for a reason, right? Exactly. It's all about the experiences that you have and what you're learning along the way. I think we sometimes get lost in
what it should look like.
Yeah, what it should look like.
Your standard life should be.
Yeah, my neighbor bought a BMW, so now I need to get a Tesla. I'm like, for what?
Oh
for what, dude?
No, life is what you value and what you want to be. And it's like, I think for us too, like we have a good work ethic, right? And we just work hard. And some people are like, well, you already got a good job in a house. Like, what do you do? Like, what are you doing this for? I'm like, no, like that's not like just having a nice job, for me. It may be for someone else, but for me, it's
waking up and doing what you love to do every day. That's living life, right? And
it's what you want it to be.
100%. There's nothing wrong. There's some people who want to wake up and, you're okay with just being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
That's not the life I personally want, but who's to say that you're doing it right or wrong?
Exactly.
I want to have 12 cars in my garage. You might call that excessive, and I say, well, that's what I want. There's no right or wrong. And I feel like the older I get, the more I realize like, I see what my friends are doing. I see what they're buying, and I'm like, okay.
That's what you love.
So have fun with that, right? Exactly. I spend a lot of money on dance shoes. To someone, they go, that's crazy excessive. To me, it's not. It's a way of life for me, but that's okay.
It's your way of life. That's
100%.
awesome.
No
That was
right or wrong.
some good advice. Well, can you just tell them where they can find more about you, how they can even, come for a class, one of your events, just tell them more about that?
Yeah, all my social media, my website is MHDance Co. My name, Matt Hernandez, my initials, MH, of course. So social media, we're on Instagram, TikTok.
Everything.
Facebook. What am I missing? Gmail, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Everything except Twitter, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe coming soon.
Yeah.
But all things MHDance Co. But yeah, come reach out. My phone number is literally posted all over the internet.
Okay,
so
good. So
people call me. People call me all the time. And they're like, I spoke to someone on your team, and I'm like,
I am the team.
This is the team. You spoke to me. I'm like, that was me. But yeah, all things MHDance Co. But yeah, come out. Maybe we'll get Chrissy for round 2. Maybe we'll do some behind the scenes. We'll get some footage of Chrissy in her next class that you guys want to see. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. No I had a good time. So yes, don't forget to subscribe to that. And thank you for coming to the show. Don't forget to click the link for Real Estate Done Right, and we'll see you guys next time. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of that. And please put in the comments of who you want to see on the show next below. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.